Nobody told me adulthood was going to come with car repossessions, gourmet ramen meals, job rejection for being too qualified, $3,000 rent, and getting scammed out of $250,000. Because when I was younger, adulthood was marketed as freedom. Right? You graduate, you get the job, you make the money, you get the apartment, you become independent, you live happily ever after. But baby, that was just not it. Nobody mentioned the plot twist. Nobody mentioned the bills that don't care about your feelings. Nobody mentioned the economy playing double dutch with your sanity. Nobody mentioned being qualified enough to struggle, but somehow overqualified for the job. Make that make sense. And nobody, and I mean nobody, told me that I would one day be in the kitchen trying to turn ramen noodles into a gourmet dining experience because my bank account was giving very much humble yourself. Okay. And I know that I'm not the only one that has tried to make not only gourmet ramen, but beans and weenies and would insert whatever low cost food item that you can afford that you want to change the experience. So today we're talking about the moments when I realized adulting was ghetto AF. Not because responsibility is bad, not because growth is bad, but because so many of us were handed a life script, told to follow it, and then left completely unprepared for the emotional, the financial, and the mental weight of actually becoming an adult. So let's get into the receipts, shall we? Okay. Hello, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Kiara Ivy, aka Kiara the Concrete Rose. And around here, we talk about lifestyle design, personal growth, getting your life together, and just building a life that is in alignment with your personality, your passions, and your purpose, right? We want to conquer our chaos, our career, and our soft life over here in this corner of the internet. And today, we need to have a very honest conversation, okay? Because adulthood, ghetto, okay? Deeply unserious, suspiciously expensive, and emotionally violent at times. Would not recommend, not especially without a strategy, a budget, a therapist, a calendar, and a backup plan, or at least one emotional support beverage. Okay. So listen, I'm grateful to be alive. Please do not get me wrong. I am grateful for the growth. I am grateful for the wisdom that comes from my experiences. I am grateful for my independence. But I also believe in telling the truth and shaming the devil. Okay. And the truth is, there have been several moments in my life where I looked around and said, so this is adulthood? Because when we were younger, adulthood looked like freedom. But nobody tells you that that freedom comes with invoices. Nobody tells you that that independence, it comes with maintenance fees. Nobody tells you that being grown means constantly making decisions you do not feel qualified to make while pretending you're not internally screaming, right? So today, I want to walk you through the moments when I realized adulting was ghetto AF. And more importantly, what those moments taught me. Because yes, life dragged me, but I took notes. Okay. I'm a note taker. I'm a student. So life is only going to be able to drag me but so many times before I start picking up on the patterns and start doing what it takes to shift the floor under my feet. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. But okay, the first moment I realized adulting was ghetto AF was when my car got repossessed shortly after I graduated college. I'm gonna set the scene for you guys because I had done the thing everybody tells you to do, right? I went to college. I worked hard. I got full scholarship to my first college, and then I got a partial scholarship to the college that I transferred to. I graduated. I rocked across that stage, cum laude, okay? And I felt like I had unlocked a new level of life, a new level of adulthood. And technically, I had, but the new level was giving boss fight energy, not soft life unlocked. Shortly after graduation, I fell into this deep state of depression because what was happening was I had gone to school for 4 years for international relations and Spanish. I thought I was going to be a diplomat, right? Like I had my whole life planned out. Then Benghazi happened, and I decided that I didn't want to be a diplomat anymore. But with that with that changing of the mind, right? Like I just realized, okay, well, what are you going to do? Because that's what you went to school for. And now you've decided that you no longer want to do it. So what are you going to do? So I didn't know how my degree was going to translate into anything else. And I didn't even know what I was interested in at the time. So, anyway, not only did I fall into a deep state of depression, but I ended up leaving Pittsburgh and I moved to Silver Spring, Maryland with a friend, and I slept on her couch for the next few months trying to figure out what was my life. And I even decided to go into the rent-a-car business with Enterprise. I was a management trainee for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and when I tell y'all that I hated this job, I hated it so freaking much. Okay, I did not like that that position, and I remember one day it was in the middle of winter, and we had a huge snowstorm the night before. Everything was just kind of iced over. It was really, really hard to get around. Like people were stuck in snow. And I found out they still wanted us to come in. They still wanted us to come into work that day. And I just remember being so incredibly upset that I got dressed, everything I did what I was supposed to do and went into work and I typed up my resignation letter on their computer and handed it to him and then bowed out. I know that that probably was not the best way to handle it, but obviously some things had led to that moment. It wasn't just that. Like that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back, but I left that. And so then I had no job, so I had to get like a serving position. And so I ended up working as a Hooters girl at the location out in Laurel, Maryland. And believe it or not, I did really have fun as a Hooters girl at that location, met some really cool people, and had some great regulars that helped me so that I could pay my bills, right? Like they would always tip me very well, especially with it being sort of like this kind of dive bar energy, like, getting $100 tip on someone who only spent 16.99. That's like they doing that just for me, right? Like they're doing that because they care. And so I really appreciated that moment because those couple of months working there, it put things into perspective for me because there was so many times when I thought to myself, wow, like you just graduated from college, from a very good college, Duquesne University, might I add, with a dual degree in international relations and Spanish, and yet you are here serving people wings and, beer. And I just and there's nothing against serving at all. I have nothing against service. Servers make good money, bartenders make good money, but it was not what I thought I would be doing, and it was definitely not the what I wanted it to be my career path. And so I realized that I had to make a change, but I wasn't the only one that came to that realization. It was actually my friend who was getting very serious about her boyfriend at the time. And I mean, she subtly, but not so subtly, basically said I had to figure things out. So I had to legit humble myself and ask my dad, who was living in Atlanta at the time, I had to ask him if I can come live with him. And of course he said yes. Once I got there, I sunk deeper into my depression. I'm talking I was like, drinking bottles of Moscato, eating hot Cheetos, licking my wounds, watching Nikita every day. Reruns of Nikita, right? If you know, you know. That show was thebomb.com. But anyway, and then I remember stumbling upon an opportunity to work on a cruise ship in Hawaii. And so I ended up going to this job fair where I was able to interview on the spot. And I ended up getting the job to work on a cruise ship out in Hawaii for a Norwegian cruise line. And so the next day, this is the moment where I realized adulting was ghetto AF. The company that I bought my car through, they came to repossess my car. And it's like, thank God for timing, because I'm glad I was able to at least make it to that interview and get my next job before they came and took it. And that's I was like, wow, this is something else. And it's only funny now because it's hindsight, right? Hindsight's 2020. We look back on things, we see how, what we've gone through in life, and just make peace with the fact that that was our past, and it's no longer what we're experiencing today. But I can't even sit here and say that adulting has gotten so much better, because there have been some really ghetto moments within the last couple years. So at that time I realized it was not just about the car, it was really the symbolism, right? And I had a degree, but I didn't have stability. I had ambition, but I did not have a real plan. I had potential, but the potential was not paying the car note, right? And that was the moment that I realized adulthood, it does not care what you meant to do. It does not care that you had good intentions. It does not care that you are smart. It does not care that you worked hard. It cares about systems, money systems, career systems, emergency systems, decision making systems. And at that point, I did not have enough of them. I had dreams, I had hustle, I had vibes, right? But vibes do not stop the repo man. That's what I realized. It was not going to stop that repo man. And that moment really humbled me, because it also woke me up, because I realized that being educated and being financially prepared are not the same thing. Like, nobody really sat me down and said, here is how to manage money when life starts lifing. Nobody explained how quickly one financial setback can become a whole domino effect. That car repossession taught me that adulthood requires more than ambition. It requires strategy. Okay. And so I've been, trying to think about everything that has happened up to that point. And really, I would say that my life is a series of peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And I remember even saying back, I think this was during COVID, you got to grow through what you go through. You got to grow through what you go through, because at the end of the day, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save me. We got to figure this shit out on our own. Okay. And so actually that's one of the things that makes adulting ghetto too, is that at like most of us got to figure this shit out on our own. We don't have, rich parents to fall back on. We don't have maybe a rich spouse that supports us. Like, some of us, that's not our story. And listen, we're not hating on the ones who have that type of support system. More power to you. I could not be happier for you. I hope to have that be the case one day, but it is not my story. I'm sure it's not the story of many of you watching. And so I say all this to say that we have to start choosing to do things differently. We have to acknowledge and recognize that, yes, adulting is ghetto, and then consciously decide that it's no longer going to be ghetto for us. Okay. Because I wrote the book Adulting is Ghetto because I was tired of everybody that was like significantly older than us trying to act like we are a bunch of babies and we have basically everything handed to us and things should be easy and we shouldn't be complaining this much and we should be working harder and all these other things. And I'm like, no, bullshit. What we were handed was not whatever you think in your mind that we were handed. Okay. We were sold an entire lie and you were part of the problem, you know? So I just don't like it. I don't like it when people try to act like just because we have first world problems, that they're not problems. They're still problems at the end of the day. So I say all this to say adulting is ghetto. I wrote the book on it, but I also wrote a method that I think we all can benefit from so that we can take our power back, right? And that's why I hell bent on sharing this message so that together we can create a lifestyle that is in alignment with ultimately who we want to be and how we want to be. So I hope that you all are, out there enjoying your life and everything that it has to offer you. And I am just going to be the first to say that I hear you and I understand where you're coming from if things are not going super well. And I just want you to know that we're in this together. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. But would love to know from you though, what was the moment that you realized adulting was ghetto AF? Like, was it your first bill? Was it the first job? Was it a grocery receipt? Was it like when you first had to get your own place? Was it like your first rejection? Like, what was that moment? Please drop it in the comment section because I already know the stories are going to be painfully hilarious. And if this video resonated with you, like it, subscribe, and stick around because we are going to be keeping it all the way 100 and having real conversations about getting our lives together without pretending and without actually feeling like we have to have it all figured out, okay? Because we may be grown, but we are still learning. We are still growing every single day. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.